How's it going, nerds? Welcome to the Grounded No Armor Challenge. That's right, I said no armor. I do have some exceptions to this challenge. I will be using the gas mask, the diving gear, and the aphid slippers. They don't give me that much defense, if at all. I've come close to suffocating to death, and I've almost drowned. So, yeah, my video, my rules. So help me through this pain and suffering. If you guys end up enjoying this video, please leave it a like. And if this is your first time clicking on one of my videos, checking out my channel, first I gotta say thank you so much for doing so. And if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. Alright, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and jump in. Woo! Another day, another challenge. Knowing that this was gonna be a no armor challenge, I had to be prepared. And by be prepared, I mean I have no idea what to expect. The first thing that's on my mind is milk molars. I'm gonna need to hunt down these milk molars in order to max out my health. This is imperative for survival. Since I'll be going against an array of creatures, I have to have my eyes wide open. So it's time to begin this. After gathering everything that I could find, I crafted a pebblet axe, then it was off to the mysterious machine, killed some mites, watched a beautiful laser show, and headed to the oak tree. After carefully listening to what Bird Girl had to say, I knew I had to get my hands on some clubs. The Spiky Sprig is a tier 1 club. Now, these exactly don't do a lot of damage when you're swinging away, aside from the bleed effect that takes place. However, if used right, such as throwing them, you can deal a lot of damage. So I knew I was going to craft a bunch of Spiky Sprigs in order to survive. With that in mind, I was able to craft 3. Throwing your club can deal a substantial amount of damage. It was time to head to the old anthill. There I came across a red soldier ant. After one hit, this was weird. It just went flying straight up into, well, nothing. I don't know what happened, but it was hilarious. Anyways, I was able to get quite a bit of the red ant parts and the mandibles because I have my sight set on the red ant club. The red ant club will be my main weapon of choice for quite a while. However, I will be using these Spiky Sprigs in case I'm in a pinch. Heading over to the Hedge Lab, I decided to test my club throwing technique against the Tasty. And before you know it, it one-shotted it. These clubs deal a lot of damage, it's ridiculous. While I was there at the hedge, I figured that the best way to grab bug parts was to go through the web sacks. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. There, I was able to get a ladybug head and some stink bug parts. Now it was time to do the Hedge Lab. The Hedge Lab was pretty easy this time around. I killed some orb weavers, some tasties, grabbed all of the pieces of the passwords, and next thing you know, I grabbed my first super chip. The next day I ended up grabbing some berries to make some berry leather for the insect hammer, and I realized that I still have that one life mentality. By the way, if you haven't checked out my one life video, I highly suggest that you go and do so. It was a lot of fun and a lot of work. It was a lot of work. I will link that down below. Now that I got that plug out of the way, it was time to make the insect hammer. I needed to get some resources from the red anthill. However, since I don't have the red ant armor to stealthily make my way through, I had to play the patience game. And man, I do not have the patience for this. Luckily enough, you can two-shot a red soldier ant by throwing the Spiky Sprig. So this made things a little easier. Time to do the pond lab, which meant that I had to gather some resources in order to get myself down there. Now this time around, it wasn't so scary heading down to the pond lab, mostly because I didn't have one life to bet on. After turning all the dials, killing a bunch of tasties. I mean, just look at this. This is ridiculous. These clubs are a lot of fun to throw. And if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend so. Now with all the tasties and archers out of the way, I was able to claim my next super chip, the last duper disc, and those sweet muscle sprouts. Getting ready for the Haze Lab, I definitely needed to boost my health, so I had in mind making the fuzz on the rock smoothies and collecting a ton of milk molars. With my health boosted and a bunch of smoothies made, I felt confident on taking the Haze Lab. This no armor challenge is really no joke, but I was feeling very confident in my abilities and wished for the best. So let's do this. And just like that, she is done. Next is the Black Ant Lab. I'll admit, I was definitely nervous. At this point, I usually take a lot of precaution in order to go against the assistant manager. At this point, I would already have tier 3 armor. However, I was feeling quite confident. I've made it this far without any armor whatsoever. Also, side note, ignore the mask. I completely forgot to take it off. But trust me when I say it did not help whatsoever. It was now or never. It's time to do this. It was a tough battle, but at the end, I am victorious. It was scary, to say the least. I had a total of 15 spiky sprigs, but that was definitely not enough to go against the assistant manager. Collecting my next super chip, it was time to head back to Burgle. But first, I had to get that spider fang dagger. Getting the tier 2 dagger allows me to cut up those soggy roots, which I need to get a specific key. I will admit, going against a wolf spider is always intimidating, especially when you have no armor, but it had to get done. And while you're watching this flawless fight, I just gotta say thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you are enjoying this video and you made it this far, make sure to give it a like. It really does help out a lot. Burgle had a lot of things to say, which meant that it was time to go to the upper yard. Getting the charcoal was definitely a chore. I used up maybe 5 of my granola bars. It was intense, that's for sure. Being in the upper yard, I knew it was time to get the tier 3 tools. So I had my sight set on the termite axe and the black ox hammer. I figured that the black ox beetle would be the toughest, so I decided to take it on. This was an intense battle, that's for sure. You can tell that I was really excited. The fact that I got this far by throwing spiky sprigs is absolutely amazing. There's something really funny about it, that's for sure. Having what I needed, I was able to make the termite axe. After that, it was off to get more black ox parts. After getting the pupa, I was able to head back to base to make that black ox hammer. Finally making my way all the way up to the shed, I was able to progress the story even further. Needless to say, I learned my lesson and did not forget that fuse. While I was up there, I figured why not get the toenails early. Since it takes a long time for the toenails to respawn, I had my sight set on the toenail scimitar, mostly because of the infection. At this point, I was kind of rethinking my strategy. I made a lot more spiky sprigs because I was after the Broodmother next. I needed to get that Broodmother club. After gathering all the necessary resources, it was time to take on the Broodmother. Usually, at this point, I have tier 3 armor, so I was feeling a little nervous, not gonna lie. I decided to go with the Antlion Greatsword and made it spicy up to level 7. This was gonna be my first big boss. Feeling like I was as prepared as I possibly could be, it was time to finally take her on. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Now that I was able to make the Broodmother Club, it was time to make it sour. I decided to go sour because I have two things in mind. One, I wasn't too sure if I was actually going to do this, but I had to be prepared. I had my sight set on the Black Widow, and it would come in handy for Director Schmector. After waiting for a long time, I was finally able to make the toenail scimitar. For this, I was going to make it fresh. Woo! It was time, guys. It was time to finally go against the Mant. But first, I had one obstacle in my way. Now, I could have snuck around, but that wouldn't be fun now, wouldn't it? It was rough. I mean, I don't know how else I can explain it. Luckily enough, she only summoned one of her Widowlings, so after that point, it was a breeze. Now it was on to the Mant. Feeling extremely confident that I was able to take on the Black Widow, taking on the Mant is not a problem. I love going against the Mant. It is such a fun fight, mostly because I can parry most of his attacks. But this time around, needless to say, it was a perfect fight. After talking to Window for a hot second, it was time to move on. Director Schmector is next. And then I was planning on taking on the Mantis, which meant I had to go to the Stump Lab again. Yeah, I don't need to go through that bit again. Normally this fight goes extremely well and in my favor. However, it was rough. There was a lot more going on, and having no armor, it was definitely a chore. Again, to no surprise, I took this fight for granted, and I suffered for it. I figured my sour Club of the Mother Demon would have been more than enough, especially at level 7. I really wanted to take him down as quickly as possible, and I was not thinking at this time. to that, it resulted in this. My first death. Now, the fact that I've gotten this far without dying is a feat of its own. So yeah, it sucked to die, but I was extremely happy with myself that I was able to get this far without dying. In the second round, I knew I had to change up my strategy. So, holding my breath and trying to figure things out, I pursued on. I don't know why, but I always get myself stuck in this position. Not too sure why I always decide to hug the wall when I get completely cornered. That was a lot more chaotic than I remembered, and I feel like I just did this, like last week. I feel like I just did this. My goal was definitely to have the Sour Battle Axe by the time I go against the Wasp Queen. I wanted to get the Sour Battle Axe for the Mantis, but I have gone against her so many times, I felt extremely confident going against her with the Club of the Mother Demon. Next boss coming up, let's do this. Let me tell you that the cooldowns are not fun. Not fun at all. And just like that, she is done. Let's go. Now it was time for that Sour Battle Axe. Oh my gosh, I feel so much better having this weapon in my hands. That's for sure. After getting the Sour Battle Axe, it was time to upgrade it. Or should I say, max it out. I am not taking any chances whatsoever. Ooh, and here's where things start getting difficult. I mean, I'm scratching my head. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get through the Wasp Queen and then the infected Broodmother. I mean, I had to ask myself, am I really worried about the Wasp Queen? The answer was not really. It was more so as a patience game, trying to make sure that she lands, but I was not looking forward to the infected Broodmother, that's for sure. Knowing that the infected Broodmother was next, I really had to focus on the Wasp Queen first. It's not like she hits really hard. The Wasp Queen does have its disadvantages when fighting against her, mostly because of her attack resistance. This fight could have gotten out of hand, but it's not like it was my first time going against her. I had to really watch my health considering I didn't have any Waspidote, so my best strategy was to make sure I had a Black Ox Burger, a Spider Slider, human food, and Liquid Rage. I had to really think about this fight or else I was gonna die repeatedly. Now the Mant doesn't necessarily do a lot in this fight, however it does act as a really good distraction. I wish I could say that I was excited about defeating the Wasp Queen, but man, because now it's time for the infected Broodmother, guys. Hold on to your hats. Here it goes. Phase 1, always a breeze. I would like to say that I could breathe, but unfortunately that is just not the case. Phase 2 is next. My biggest worry was definitely the raining bombs. I had no idea how much damage it was gonna do, and let me just tell you, it was a lot of damage. And here we go, phase 3, guys, phase 3. It was looking really good, not gonna lie. And then this happened. Oh my god. What just happened? Okay, let's try this again. There goes phase 1, there goes phase 2, and finally, let's try this again. Phase 3, everybody, phase 3. Needless to say, the Mant really did come in clutch with this fight. Yes! Words cannot express just how stoked I was to defeat the infected Broodmother with no armor. I was so frustrated that I was just happy to get it done. Anyways, guys, it's time for the Javamatic. I hope you're ready. Doing the Javamatic, I always take precaution. I build the best defenses I possibly can. So with this being a no armor challenge, I definitely had to beef up the defenses in order to survive. I cannot believe I made it this far with no armor. This has been a fun challenge and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. So without further ado, here's the Javamatic, guys. Let's just say that with the Sour Battle Axe, I was able to shred through all of the creatures. Even with no armor, this weapon is OP. that is it. I just gotta say thank you guys so much for clicking on my video, watching it all the way to the end. This has been a fun journey for me. I still can't believe I was able to do this with no armor. However, I'm not really surprised considering I've put in over 800 hours into this game. So I had to use everything that I knew about this game in order to survive. I'm extremely proud of myself. It was a fun challenge and I'm really glad that you guys were able to join me on this journey. If you guys end up enjoying this video, again, please leave it a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this. I don't know what the next challenge is gonna be, but I have enjoyed every single one of them so far. Anyways, guys, thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!